Hello, to Talking with Ryan and Apple Cider.
And apple cider. Okay. So it's for United People documentary? Okay, the first question.
Let's see, Skilled Army started out with Mason, Jack, I'm not entirely sure, but I think one other guy. And it was, our situ base was at first in Mason's backyard, and then Jack's backyard and Mason's backyard. It's basically a bunch of us messing around, shooting Haley with some Nerf darts. Fun times. I joined it because literally they were like, "Hey Ryan, wanna go shoot Haley?" I'm like, "Sure, I don't know this girl." So I just started shooting her. I had no idea why we were at war with her. But we were. Which I now see I was probably the wrong for doing. Sorry Haley. So of course there's the ongoing war with Haley, which was like on and on and on and ongoing, like even into the new army. Like even after Jack and Mason left, I was still waging a war with Haley. I had no idea why I was waging a war with her. But yeah, so it was mostly Haley at first. And that was all the wars of the old army. They were all with Haley, except for one war with Hunter. And he had an airsoft gun, which is no fair. I had a Nerf gun. So I was actually a little bit more adamant than his friend. So basically, Frickson allied up with another one of Hunter's friends, who's actually just on the opposing side. So I allied up with him. It was me and him versus Hunter. I had my little Nerf shotgun. So I was running around like at him with the shotgun, and his friend gave up pretty quickly, and I kept on going. So Hunter was just like, whatever. So he shot me up a couple times with his airsoft gun, and after that, I retreated back to my house. I subsequently cried to my father, who went and got Rob, Hunter's dad, and Hunter had to come over and make an apology. So I'd call it a tie, because Hunter won the physical war, but I won the psychological war. There was just nobody left. Mason left, and that was it, because Mason at that point was general, or as we called it, field marshal. Jack was field marshal, and then Jack left. Then Mason was field marshal, then Mason left. I can't remember what happened to the other guy, so I was basically the last one there. And then Max joined up, and then that was the start of the new army. The first person in the new army besides myself was Max Cassett. He's by far one of the most devoted members of the army. Then after that, I convinced Alex to join, who's actually running this interview. Thank you, Alex.
Hello. I'm Alex Nieman. When I arrived into the army, they were already at war with Haley, also known as the Neighborhood Wars 2. At that point, I was blind. I didn't know what we were fighting for. I just followed alongside Ryan and hoped that I would make more friends in the army. But then the army grew into something I loved, and it became a part of me, and I just wanted to spend every moment in the Frickson Army, and so I did. Back then, Ryan, Max, me, and Jake Becker, we were small and very naive, but we loved to have fun, and we loved to go to war. The war against Haley and Zach definitely brought us closer together and definitely made us a stronger army, I feel like. The wars in the new army was the Neighborhood Wars 2, the Neighborhood Wars 3, and of course the Frickson Civil War.
And then after Alex and Max Cassett had some beef over who was going to be my best friend. So eventually Max Cassidy just kind of gradually just left the Army, although he was always still loyal. His gradually was kind of like, he just stopped showing up. And then Jake joined the Army.
Who won them?
I can't remember all the wars in the new Army.
I'll name the wars, then you talk about them. So,
all right.
The Neighborhood Wars 2.
The Neighborhood Wars 1 and 2. The first one was against Haley, right?
That was the old
Haley
Army.
Wars. Second one, we continued our war against Haley.
Mm-hmm.
And then added on to that, we had a few skirmishes with Andrew, which we won always. Andrew always retreated back to his garage. Actually, the Haley Wars actually ended under the new Army. Because I kind of realized that there's no purpose in fighting her. Again, sorry, Haley. Oh, the one with Zach. It is forgotten because I forgot it.
Yeah.
The one with Zach was a war. Is similar to Andrew, where except he was a little bit tougher than Andrew. Like he would go after you, and you'd stay going after you. Like he wouldn't retreat as easily. So the war with Zach, he was a neighbor down the street and around the bend. So we had a war or two with him.
Then came Zach and the Neighborhood Wars 3, or the Forgotten War. Zach was new to the neighborhood and was known for being a bully. He would bully Max Cassett, and to us that was like, all right, that's it. We're going to war with you. You can't treat our men like trash and expect to have no consequences. So we came at Zach full force. It was like a few battles, but eventually we pushed him back to his house, causing him to surrender, and that was the end of that. And then there was the Frickson Civil War.
Oh yeah, the Civil War is when Alex created like the Night Ninjas or something with ninja in it, and I thought it was the most stupid thing ever. So basically, Alex and I got in a little feud, and then it turned into a full-blown Civil War that lasted around 2 days.
Now, I'm not too happy about the Frickson Civil War, partly because I should have treated it differently. I feel like something happened, causing me to leave the Frickson Army and make a new one of my own. It was called the Night Ninjas, which is pretty stupid now that I think about it, but I wanted to destroy Frickson once and for all. I wanted to make sure that they would never mess with me again, and that I was the top dog in the neighborhood.
And then Alex's mom was just like, What are you boys doing? Just get along. We were like, okay. So Alex rejoined Frickson as colonel and I as general. Actually, I think just to make you mad, I made you major, and I made Max colonel. Even though Max didn't even really show up, I made him colonel just to piss you off.
That war was a mess. Frickson got its name from one of our neighbor friends, and he gave us a sticker that said Frickson, and it was spelled Friksn, and we were like, that could be the name of our army. And so we used that for quite some time until I realized that we can't use the exact same name as that company, because if we were to get somewhere someday, that name would need to change. Me and Ryan changed it to Frickson with just Frickson, and it stayed that way ever since.
It basically collapsed back into just me and Alex, and so there was just really no new army left except for us two. We were the last remnant of it.
Me and Ryan were still in the same situation as before. We were just together, but unfortunately Max Cassett and Jake Becker slowly left the Army. They didn't like officially leave, but they just gradually stopped showing up to things, and we just assumed that they would stop coming back, and they did. And that was the end of the new Army, and a long term of me and Ryan just by ourselves. Now is, in my opinion, the best Army. It has way more members than ever before, and I'm just so thankful to have such a big group. The modern Army now, I feel like, is much more updated. We don't use Nerf guns anymore. We use airsoft guns. Our tactics have changed. Everything has really changed, but for the good. In the modern Army now, we have me, Ryan, Mauricio Baker, Garrett Younkin, and Liam Hill.
Right now, I'm in Frickson Army along with Alex Nieman, Ryan Houlahan, Garrett Younkin, and Nick and Liam Hill. I've known Alex and Ryan for a very long time. I met Alex in 6th grade at school, and he would always make me laugh. He still does. Alex is one of the most caring people I know, and he would go very far for his friends. Whether that be inviting them for a night under the stars in the canyon, or reaching out to friends who he knows are having trouble going through tough times, or dragging his friends into his car with a bucket over their heads when that's what they needed. It's a long story. And Ryan's creativity and energy and love know no bounds. If I was ever told that someone rode on a self-made helicopter to a dog shelter while yelling in an imaginary language, I wouldn't have to ask who it was.
I have left the Army, but not entirely. Since I'm at college now, I left to I'm no longer participating in elections. I can still vote on certain laws though. But I can't vote on in elections and stuff. No, I can't vote in laws, but I can propose new laws. But I can't vote on them. So I gave up most of my powers as a member of Frickson Army and put on different Army garb, and now I'm in ROTC for the United States Army. And so just a little bit different. Just I have effectively left, but although not at all, actually. Because I still feel very much a part of it. It still feels very much a part of me.
So the Crasher War. That is a war story that we tend to stop talking about because it's just embarrassing.
Oh yes, the Crasher War. The war it was more of a Cold War, let's be honest. So the Crasher War was, Alex and I were just patrolling the canyon as we usually did. And we found this little fort down at the bottom of the hill by these houses. And there's BBs scattered all over it. It's just note we are the Crashers, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, oh my gosh, airsoft guns in here. By the way, at this point, we'd upgraded to airsoft guns. So it's like, oh my gosh, there's other people with airsoft guns. We gotta fight them. We gotta start our dominance over them. They've taken over this area, the canyon, that we'd only recently really discovered. I mean, we knew he was always there, but we never really went down there. And now we've gone down there, it's like there's this whole new territory that we need to take over. So one day, we started patrolling the area like crazy. Like we were like, get out there with like binoculars and stuff. We were like, where are they? So we started patrolling them and stuff. And one day we see a bunch of kids in the fort. We're like, oh my gosh, it's them. So you had the sniper rifle. I just had an assault rifle. And like we were discussing what to do because like we were like, look at the binoculars and they looked kind of small. So you gave me the sniper. And I stayed up on the hill, and like these kids have no idea we're there too. So like, I stayed up on the hill with the sniper, and Alex went down. Alex went down with nothing. I kept the heat, and he talked to them. It turned out that the Crashers were actually a biker group that shared the fort with an airsoft group.
So I went back up to Ryan and I said, it's not our time yet. We're not going to war yet.
So we almost basically slaughtered a bunch of, like, 8-year-olds. And we're like, ooh. And we never met the supposed, like, airsoft crashers. So that's why it was a bloodless war. Like, they're, for all we know, they're still there. Jew Force One was a short-lived organization that Alex Sherbani, Mauricio Baker. Jew Force One was named by Alex Sherbani, but they were all Jewish organization of airsofters that were gonna challenge Frickson. It was gonna be like more of a friendly bout, but it only took shape in 2 different battles.
I think Alex Sherbani and I made a good team. He was competitive and he wanted to win, but who didn't? Back in those early battles, we'd have lots of times sneaking around trying to find the other team before they found us, so we didn't get many chances to talk.
The Canyon War was basically a series of, as we call them, bullshit battles, where like neither side was really hitting one another. Jew Force One won the first battle. I think we won the second battle, and we were both kind of just agreed that the entire war was shit. So Garrett Younkin had his own little army, and he challenged us to a battle, and Jew Force One was 2 people, and at the time Frickson Army was 2 people. So we're like, if we join together, we have 4 people. That's 4v5. So that gives us a better chance. So we joined forces, and we just kind of absorbed Jew Force One.
I don't remember the details of how I got signed onto Frickson. I'd been hanging out with Frickson members a lot, so I guess it seemed like the next step.
Garrett Younkin, he's a very fortunate young lad who has many airsoft guns in his garage, and his army was consisted of other people with many airsoft guns, usually. He challenged us to a battle, and we went out to beat him, and his army was actually kind of, his army was good, but it was also very ragtag. Like, they had tactics, but also we challenged them on their own home field, so we lost the first battle. Won the second. So he doesn't like to admit defeat. So I feel like his philosophy is when in doubt, just be quiet and keep shooting.
The Great Crytek War. Now this war was definitely the most intense war in Frickson history. The first battle of the Great Crytek War took place in Garrett's field. It was a loss for us, I feel like, because, well, it wasn't official, but they had the upper hand. It was their field. They knew what they were doing. And it was hard for us to win that day. And unfortunately, we didn't. The second battle, however, was taking place on our field. And that's when we had the upper hand. And that's when we defeated Garrett's army for the first time.
I posted a picture of me airsofting online. Alex hit me up. Oh, you airsoft? And then later that day, when we hung out Friday, he asked me, hey, You want to hang out sometime since we airsoft? We can just go to my field and airsoft and see what's up. If you want to join my team or not. I'm like, okay, yeah. And I qualified it for that position in the Army.
In my opinion, I'd say that we won it because afterwards, his army basically disbanded and Garrett became a part of our army. So I'd say that we won the war. Like, I think that they won more physical battles. Yes, they lost their leader and they lost their army. So I feel like we stuck out the long-term war.
I think the airsoft Frickson team doesn't do any practices or any games with other people or like have any meets, like not even once a month. They just like whatever, we all hang out, play video games, but we just don't play airsoft at all, and we just do more meets instead of all that. I feel like we should get more, I feel like we should put papers up or online things saying like if you want to join our army, come to this field and just see if you want to qualify for a team or something. Or you find other airsofters.
Members are starting to get like bored. There was no more enemies to fight, and we just couldn't satisfy them with warfare because there were no more enemies left. But me and Ryan really tried to keep our group together and keep them practicing and keeping them active and having fun in the Frickson Army so they wouldn't leave. We did lose Alex Sherabani though, unfortunately.
We had no more enemies. We couldn't find any more enemies to fight. And Alex and I were actually used to this because we hadn't had any enemies for a long time. So we were used to not having any enemies.
I think Frickson, unfortunately, will kind of lie dormant for a while until we find another enemy to fight. I think we'll just be sitting around waiting for enemies, and it'll be a quiet time, but we can use that time to practice and bring new members in, and we can just wait it out, wait until someone comes along.
Honestly, I don't know how, but I'm gonna somehow see if I can't bring Frickson into the army, which will be hysterical. And otherwise, I think it's really up to Alex to continue the Frickson legacy throughout high school. After high school, I think that like Frickson has done before, I think that Frickson will go into hibernation. Frickson went really basically into hibernation during the post period where Max Cassett left and Alex and I were just kind of hanging around without Haley to kill because we decided to stop fighting her. No other people to kill, so we just kind of hung around, did nothing. And so Frickson kind of went into hibernation. I feel like Frickson will do that again for a longer period. And I'm hoping that eventually either some other kids will move into the neighborhood and we can influence them to start fighting for Frickson, or we will have kids of our own that will take up the banner.
What's next for Frickson? It's hard to say. I'll be leaving for college next year, but most of Frickson's going to be staying for longer. And I've appreciated the things we've done recently other than airsoft battles, like exploring more of the canyon. And I'd love to see more of that kind of stuff while I'm still around. I don't know if we'll want to do another Frickson survival, because one was enough. But once I'm out of town, I think the rest of what they do should be totally up to them.
I love Frickson though. Frickson is my home. Frickson is everything I've ever loved. It'll always be with me. It's our childhood. Someday I hope to pass it along to my children. And, or even make it into something bigger, but who knows for now.